Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back. Season 2, episode 2 of the XDI Experience live show. This week, it is hard to not get excited about what we're talking about. This is game-changing stuff. During the pandemic, there were a handful of sectors that continued on and relatively untouched. In fact, in actual fact, maybe grew. Things like big health, big space, defense, and the overall kind of sustainability world, given the removal of greenhouse gases during that period. This technology touched most, if not all, in every single way. It is quite amazing. So let's not waste any time. We have a full show to get through. Let's do this. Self-cleaning windows, smog-eating concrete, and toxin-sniffing nanosensors. These are just a nano of what is being created using nanotechnologies. Today, we're talking nano-composites, tiny little things that are changing the world. And to put some context into tiny, imagine a marble compared to the size of our planet Earth. And that is really what we're talking about here. Incredibly, incredibly small elements. It's about using these particles to create an amazing, incredible items, incredible structures and machines that will change our world and are already starting to do so. Today's guest is Dr. Bill Goodman of Goodman Technologies, an entrepreneur, a results coach to up-and-coming fellow entrepreneurs, a scientist, an engineer, and an award-winning innovator. Also, neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, not that AI stuff, practitioner, and a business creator. Dr. Bill and I are talking about this world-changing technology. Ready, set, let's go.
What is it that can fly at 7 times the speed of sound, at 10 times the temperature of your kitchen oven, and survive the effects of a nuclear blast? It has something to do with nano.
Faster computers, advanced pharmaceuticals, controlled drug delivery, biocompatible materials, nerve and tissue repair, crack-proof surface coatings, better skin care and protection, more efficient catalysts, better and smaller sensors, and even more efficient telecommunications.
Bill, great to see you. How are you, sir?
Andrew, I'm awesome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How's life down in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Hey, the sun's out and the world's in all its glory today.
Enjoying the Rio Grande down there.
Indeed.
Good, good, good. So, Bill, everyone, we're doing 3 main things today. We're going to get going with a quick fire round. It's our chance to get to know you, Bill, a little better. What makes you tick, how you think, and what you think. At the end of that, we're going to come out to the audience, see if there's any questions, see if there's any thoughts. So please keep those questions flowing in at any time during the show. We really welcome them. If you just want to say hi, please say hi. Then after that, we're going to go into the main event. We're going to be talking about nano-composites, the world, what it's all about and where it's going. And then lastly, Bill, we're going to finish up talking about what's next for you, your business related, obviously, to nano-composites. So please, everyone, comments, questions, fire them in. Can't wait to get them. Let's keep Bill on his toes. Bill, if you're ready, we're going to start up with a quick fire round, 3 minutes, 7, 8, 9 questions. Let's see what we get in. Are you good? Are you set?
Let's do this.
Let's start the clock. 1, What's your greatest career achievement so far?
Well, Andrew, I'll tell you, when I was notified that I had been honored with the Small Business Administration Small Business Person of the Year for 2020 for New Mexico, it brought tears of gratitude to me. And the next best thing was being put on the XD Innovation Show.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Congratulations. Number two, how do you spot a good business to invest in?
Well, I look at past performance. I look at EBITDA. I look at the quick ratio, cash flow. I'm also looking at pro forma projections and the leadership. Do they have a great tactical and strategic business plan?
Got it. Name your top three most exciting opportunities in business today.
Oh gosh, I'm very fond of high temperature composites, both for space and aerospace. Composites that shield against radiation, whether natural or man-made, and space optical systems.
Okay. What technology excites you most as well today?
Well, I tell you, in the past, when I was a young man with hair, it was silicon, single crystal silicon. Then it became silicon carbide. And now I'm really digging carbon, especially on the nano scale.
Got it. Got it. Who's your mentor over the years and why?
Oh, gosh. I've had a lot of mentors, but I'll tell you, the one standout was Dr. M. Frederick Hawthorne. Fred was a chemistry professor at UCLA. He was on my PhD committee. He's won about every gold medal there is for chemistries in the National Academy of Sciences, been nominated for Nobel Prize multiple times. He showed me what humility is, and I'm still striving to work towards that today.
As all of us are, I know. Okay, what are the top characteristics an entrepreneur must have in your mind?
Oh, the number one thing, you got to have a great psychology. You have to eliminate fear. It's a fake feeling. You can't accept failure. You have to look at things that happen as useful feedback, and you got to have a must-have attitude. You got to be willing to eat glass.
Got it. Get it under the wire. If you could relive your 20s again, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't sell my 69 Roadrunner, and I would have stuck with my first two companies, CompuSulting and Living Memory Videos. Oh, I blew up.
It did. We kind of just got in on the nick of time. So, okay, no comments, no questions yet. Please, everyone, stop bringing those in. What was CompuSulting, and then the other one, I think you said Living Memories? What were those two businesses?
So, CompuSulting, I was, one day I got these IBM PC computers delivered to me. They had 64K on the motherboard. They came with these tubes of chips and these cards with poorly written instructions on them. And the vice president said, "Bill, I want you to put these computers together for the office." And so I did, and I got to be so good at it that I became a beta test site for Dell computers before Dell was huge. They actually asked me to come down and work in Austin for them, but I chose not to. And then Living Memory Videos was back when you had the big cameras that you carried on your shoulder. I would interview older people, older couples, so that they could pass on, family history and stuff to, their family and whatnot. So, basically a documentary, capture whatever they would want to share. And,
nice.
And both were good businesses.
Yeah. Still got the legs today in a slightly different form, of course. Yeah. Great. Good. Okay, let me just see if there's anything yet ready from the audience. Okay, we're going to come back to that one. We've got one coming in about nano-composites. We're going to come back to that one in a second. Let's move on. The main event, nano-composites. Let's start looking at that. Okay, Bill, it's an amazing world out there for nanocomposites. I mean, the more research I do, it's hard to imagine that it isn't touching every facet of society, whether that's invisible buildings, well, not invisible, but transparent buildings, so glass, which in itself is the structure. I'm reading about invisibility cloaks, these kind of coatings that can reflect the light back and give an appearance of invisibility, predator and whatever else springs to mind, but that's just a movie thing. What are nanocomposites and what are the main use cases that you're seeing?
Oh, okay. First, let's explain what a composite is. It's a mixture of materials that typically results in a different set of properties than either material by themselves. If you were my grandpa, Andrew, I'd say, hey, you remember that fancy new golf club that I bought for you that was so much lighter and you could hit the ball 50 yards farther? That was made out of a composite. And now let's talk about nano. So a strand of DNA is only about 2.5 nanometers in width. For comparison, the nanovirus, COVID, is about 50 times the diameter of a strand of DNA. And now take a human hair, it's about 80 to 100,000 nanometers wide. So we're blending these phenomenally small particles into other materials to make a nanocomposite, resulting in, just extreme improvements in material properties.
So you're saying the nanocomposites you're dealing with are equivalent size to a COVID-19 virus strain? Is that right?
Yeah, that's about right. Some of the things that we add are on the order of 100 nanometers or less. Yes.
Wow. Astonishing. What would be the best example of nanocomposites today that the consumer might be the most familiar with?
Lithium-ion batteries.
Okay.
So the best batteries today use silicon nanospheres with carbon nanospheres in the anodes of the battery, and these allow it to transfer charge back and forth, recharging, discharging with the lithium electrolyte in the battery. Here's another good one. If you're going out in the sun, you might want this sunscreen. So zinc oxide nanoparticles. So, people have seen lifeguards with that white paste they put on their nose. Well, that's the zinc oxide. So they've actually blended zinc oxide nanoparticles into sunscreens. So that's widely pervasive.
Yeah, exactly. So it's already with us in many ways. Got it. What are some of the difficulties in producing nanocomposites? Number one. Number two, bringing them to market, and what are the market forces that are in play?
Well, gosh, I'm sure I'm not going to get any disagreement with this, but the pandemic and COVID-19 certainly was impactful in destroying supply chains and end users. I know lots of companies in aerospace, that were dramatically laying off people. Just horrific. This marketplace in nano is really only about 2 decades old, maybe 2.5 at most. So it's a fledgling anyhow. And in any new marketplace, you have inhibitions, by people to use it. They're kind of fearful. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand the risks, the hazards, the investments. But it's very clear that academia and industry recognize the benefits. You can get double, triple-digit percentage improvements in material properties by adding just a little bit of a nano to composite. And right now, this is a really good time because the market's actually pulling we're not pushing this on the market. The market's actually pulling for these advancements.
Got it. Got it. So the demand is there, but the supply is slow, maybe from a resource perspective. But obviously, then you've got the COVID that comes along, which creates layoffs, furloughs, and just slows the whole kind of production side down. What about funding? Is the funding out there? Is the appetite out there from the investors for this type of technology?
Yeah, there's certainly a good amount of R&D investment, both by governments and private investment. You know, a lot of what has to happen is you have to prove these things. So there's a lot of materials testing that you have to do. As an example, you know, they use cyclotrons to evaluate the impact of nano in all different kinds of things, in foods, in makeup, in clothing, as well as the structural materials. And these things all take a little bit of time and effort, and you know, to get it out to the world. There are other things that I mentioned too. The other resistances are, like when we talk about anything that a person uses, or food, or drugs, you got to get FDA approvals. And if you're going to use things in systems that lots of consumers aren't use, like airplanes or ships or automobiles, then you got certifications, ASTM, and you know, lots of other things that you gotta prove it. Yeah.
So again, demand is increasing. So there is definitely a bit of a public safety feeling, but we have this kind of regulatory layer in between, you know, you producing and the customer, ultimately to protect the customer as well. And that takes time, as you say. Got it. So what do you feel is the solution to bring these nanocomposites through quicker, bring them to market, put them across the various industry verticals? What's that solution?
So it's all about time and money, and people will say, well, time is money. So that's what it is. Like anything big, any big industry, you're going to throw money at it, and you know, there are just so many aspects to it.
Yep. So case in point, COVID comes along, slows down kind of invention, production, testing, etc. But on top of that, is it a lack of people? Is it a lack of funding? Is it a lack of microscopic operational equipment? And if so, how do we start to resolve that?
So, you know, one of the industries I've been in for a long time is photonics, and it wasn't even recognized as a career field. I think, what are they, SIC codes, I believe, that define careers. And then there's also, you know, universities. You know, there are not very many places on the planet that deal, you know, specifically with nanotechnology, nanocomposites, things like that. So, you know, I think anonymity is one of the, you know, biggest challenges. You know, nobody knows what it is, understands what it does, how it impacts, you know, lives, and you know, so again, it's getting
so creating greater awareness, which is more of a marketing thing in many respects. Getting those eyeballs, getting that attention on it is fundamental to the whole thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, good. So nanocomposites, what should we expect to see in the short term, 2-3 years? What should we expect to see in the medium term, 5 years to 10 years? And what should we see long term, 10 years and beyond, when we kind of get into the crystal ball? Short, medium, long term, what are you expecting?
Well, you know, very, very clearly in the near term, at least in the area of structures, you know, heavy structures like aluminum and steel, like in ships and airplanes, are already being replaced. You can look at the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which is a filament wound fuselage, a composite, replacing aluminum. Adding nano to it would make the fuselage tougher, make it lighter, make it more lightning resistant, things like that. So that's a great near-term example.
Is the 787 Dreamliner, which is obviously arguably the most advanced passenger commercial jet right now, is that the one that's got all of these kind of IoT devices embedded within that engine, care of nano-composites helping with that? Is that an example of that?
So in terms of engine technologies, composites are just being studied for replacement of metallic components. Obviously, if an engine fails, you can have lives at risk there.
Yep.
Right?
Okay. Got it. Sorry, you were saying. And what about from a GT perspective? What's GT kind of doing in this short, medium, long term?
So we've been using nanoparticulates in 3D printing and additive manufacturing to improve upon composite materials. We've created one of our own advanced manufacturing techniques, call it 2. I like to think about some of the futuristic things. You mentioned a movie. I'll go mention one. I think it was Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, where Scotty's talking about transparent aluminum, and they sit him down in front of a computer, and they hand him one of these, and he starts talking into it. Nothing happens, and he says, "How quaint!" And then he starts typing at a phenomenal rate. But
I think you're going to do your Spanish accent then. Okay.
So I mean, here are some of the other things. Lithography has been making microchips down at 15 nanometers, sub 15 nanometers scale in production. With nanotechnology, you're going to be able to go down, to the diameter of, atoms, and maybe even smaller than that. And a silicon atom is about 2 angstroms in diameter, just to get an idea. That's 20 nanometers. You got nano machines, these nanobots, Fred Hawthorne, he was one of those guys that worked on making drugs, using nano to selectively kill, tumor cells. And, so you have the nanobots. And then, the other one, you mentioned, what was it? Smog eating concrete?
Yep.
Is that it?
And glass that cleans itself, all that kind of stuff.
Glass that cleans itself. So yeah, you also got energy harvesting, right? So there are watches today that shake and, wind themselves up. There'll be things that can absorb the light, or can absorb vibrations, or any other, transformation of energy from one form to another, kinetic to potential. Yep. And we're going to see all those kinds of things.
Incredible. It's just unstoppable where this will go. Every aspect of life. Amazing. Okay, great. I'm gonna bounce. Let's go to the audience now and see what we got coming in. One question we've got here from Umi is, what's the best way for a young engineer scientist to get involved in nanocomposites?
That's an excellent question. And I'd say, find yourself a college or university with a deep degree program in material science. So first, understand how materials behave and why they do on the macroscopic scale, because it's a whole lot different on the nano scale. They behave in sometimes unpredictable and phenomenal ways.
Very good. Very good. Great. Let's take the next one from Umi. Which sector is the best funded for the development of nano-composites right now?
I think there's a couple of highly competitive areas. Certainly, space and aerospace are a top one. Energy is a top one, and then I'd have to this isn't my field, but I'd say that pharmaceuticals and medicine are probably in the top three. I can't rank them according to the numbers because I look at our specific markets. But
what's going on in space technologies with nanocomposites?
So here at GT Goodman Technologies, we're using it in composite structures that are lightweight, dimensionally stable, and provide protection from the space radiation environment. We're also using them in our silicon carbide optical systems to make something that is manufacturable in space.
Wow, manufacturing in space, hey?
Indeed.
Amazing, amazing. Especially when you think about all of those low Earth orbit satellites that are going up and up, and more and more and more. We're going to have to kind of take those out of commission and maybe repurpose them, maybe remanufacture them, reinvigorate them. I don't know. I mean, I guess once we're talking about manufacturing, and that goes beyond 3D additive, it's another world up there, isn't it? Really? Okay. Good. Let's take the next question, but I don't want to take these over. So next one is from Fatima, which is, why has graphene not yet taken off after so much promise? Yeah, I remember it was in early 2000, maybe 2004, 5, 6, something like that. Everybody was talking about it. What's happening? It's going to take over. But here we are, probably still as excited, but 16 years later. What's going on there?
So to the best of my understanding, it has to do with the manufacturing process. And graphene is kind of a layered material, and the layers actually peel off. So graphene is a two-dimensional form of carbon that's in layers, and it's very delicate in that format. So I think it's going to be more, handling. How do you handle it, to transpose it into things like electronics and whatnot.
Yep. Got it. Okay. Next one from Gustav Baldian. Would graphene be part of nano-composites?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of different types of graphenes nowadays as well. There are modified graphene oxides, as an example. Some have much more electrical conductivity than others do. Yeah, graphene is very much a part of the nano-composite world.
Got it. Okay, next question from Javier. Hi, Javier. Thanks for joining us here. What are the risks you have faced when working with nano components?
The number one has been the draining to the company's bank account. They're very expensive. They can be hundreds of dollars a kilogram. But I think what Javier is looking at is, you do have to have a number of OSHA compatible processes in place for the handling of it. You want to work with these things and fume hoods. You want to have great filtration systems. Anytime you have powders in a confined space, they become explosive or fire hazards. There's toxicology.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, handle with care. Absolutely, as with all new technologies, of course. Very good. Okay, so let's move on to what's lying ahead for you now, Bill. Let's go. Not what's next. So Goodman Technologies, better known as GT. When did it all start up for you?
So we're almost 5 years old. I started GT in July of 2016. It was 30 days after we discovered our 13-year-old needed heart surgery, and a week after being laid off from my job. And most people are not going to start a job under, start a business under those conditions. They're going to be very fearful about what lies ahead. But I actually used it to my advantage. I knew that I could not fail, that I must succeed. And that's kind of the history behind my coaching at drbillabq.com, where I talk about, the no failure zone.
That's your blog site? What, Dr. Bill ABQ?
Yeah, I put blogs there.
Okay.
It's the type of coaching that I provide to other C-levels, other entrepreneurs, to get this right.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to get this 6 inches of space right. And once you do that, you can do amazing and incredible things.
So with your son needing heart surgery, you've just been laid off. You're right. Most people would say, park that idea up. Let me stabilize here. Did you use that more from a fuel perspective to give you greater motivation? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I interviewed the weekend after I got laid off with another CEO, and I wanted to bring on a guy who's now my COO, and this other CEO said, "Nah, we only have resources for one person." A little voice in my head said, "Bill, it's never going to get any better than that. Start your business up."
Yeah.
And literally the very next week, I just did it. So
great.
So good news. So we brought in a surgeon. A year later, my son was cured. By the time he graduated high school, he was the XO for his Marine Corps Junior ROTC program. So we were just extremely blessed.
You bet.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Do you think he grasped what he'd been through, that adversity? You think he actually took that in and really understood what had happened to him?
Well, I'll tell you what, 90 minutes after surgery, he was sitting up in his bed playing on his iPod. No, it's just extraordinary.
Well, hopefully he takes that from a gratitude perspective, and that gives him the fuel to propel himself to wherever he wants to be as well, admittedly. Good.
This kid is resilient, if anything.
Exactly. That's it. So what business is GT actually in? What is it?
So right now we're a startup. We're in the new space, the aerospace, defense, and commercial marketplaces. What we specifically do is to create disruptive materials for extreme environments. So extreme being space radiation, man-made radiation, the high temperature of hypersonics, or looking into deep space where you get deep cryogenic temperatures. And sometimes we have requirements from customers that require all of those simultaneously. So you literally have to create the material to make the system that can operate under those conditions.
Wow. Big stuff. And what are actually some of the GT products that you bring to market?
So we've had a number of projects for NASA where we've made the largest 3D printed silicon carbide mirror substrate on the planet. We're finishing up on a laser comm telescope project. This past year, we came up with a nice CubeSat design. For the Army, we're making ceramic body armor via a printing process. We're making composites for other government customers.
I mean, the marketplace is enormous, surely. I mean, obviously, it cannot possibly go backwards. It can only go forwards, this one. What does that marketplace look like? Where are we at? We're in its infancy by the sounds of it. Tell us about the market.
I'm just going to tell you, you know, I have to put together business plans and commercialization plans. And so the number that's most relevant to us is the service obtainable marketplace, or the SOM, SOM.
Yeah.
And in the area of the, you know, for aircraft and engines and things like that, it's on the order of 1.23 billion, which by itself qualifies, you know, as unicorn status. But you know, there's another 250 million for other aerospace and maritime structures. There's green energy applications. There's shielding against.
Sorry, what are the green energy applications?
So green energy are things that will use solar-based system and battery systems.
Yeah.
And of course that's a big thing worldwide right now. You know, retiring of combustion and you know, the onset of you know,
so rechargeability of batteries. I guess from a solar perspective, more efficient solar panels, all those things, probably lighter as well, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. Wow. And then you got your space systems, and space systems are about a third of $1 billion. So, you know, many marketplaces, and, you know, you're going to need expert people in all the different areas to take advantage of those.
Incredible, really. So the future for GT, what does it look like? Also, kind of short term and medium long term.
Okay, so in March 2020, while other companies are going out of business, we started another one called GT Nano, and GT Nano is the manufacturing arm, the spin-off from Goodman Technologies that will use the intellectual property created at GT to manufacture. It's a pilot plant, and you know, we really hope to be up and running in 9 to 12 months time. Seems very doable, and you know, it's just going to be another exciting phase in the chapters of my life here.
So when you're talking about a manufacturing plant, are we talking Tesla gigafactory, or are we talking a 3D additive manufacturing environment? What kind of factory are we talking about? Okay,
so this will be a little more modest. This will be a pilot plant, but it will have the two divisions. So the nano composites that are made by 3D AM and what we call our Z process.
Yeah.
And then you know, the other things will be these things that use carbon nanotubes, our nano-forested, vertically aligned carbon nanotube technologies, where we're improving upon composites.
Yeah.
Do you remember the commercials from the 80s and 90s? BASF.
Yep.
They said, we don't make the products that you use, we make the products that you use better.
Yeah.
So we have something that we can add to other people's composites, whether it be ceramic matrix composites or epoxies or, you know, bismuth imides, you know, just about anything. And it takes them and gives double, triple digit improvements in the properties.
Great. Beautiful. Okay. Let's break away to audience, see what questions we've got. We've got one down here from Iman, which is, what kind of skills is GT looking for, or going to be looking for? What kind of talent might be out there that's of appeal to your business going forward?
So we got a couple of key people that we're going to be looking for. One will be a CFO that's you know, skilled in technology startups, in term sheets, in licensing of technology. We're going to need manufacturing engineers. We have some consultants for setting up the pilot plant, specifying the equipment, operating it. business developers to address the various beachheads that we've identified in our business plan as the low-hanging fruit. But we're going to need technicians and administrative. We're working with the local Albuquerque Economic Development Department, and talking to people in the state of New Mexico, and the Small Business Administration has been extremely good to Goodman Technologies, and working with our customers too.
Yeah.
Keeping your customers happy is the number one thing you got to do.
Yep.
You gotta over deliver and under promise.
Right.
Say what you do what you say.
You bet, and more. Good. Next question. I think we got another one from Elena, which is, what are the challenges of manufacturing in space? I mean, you've touched on the radiation, you've touched on temperature. What are those various challenges?
So if you're talking about man-rated systems like the International Space Station, for example, you got astronauts up there, so you can't have anything that will cause danger to the astronauts. If it's an unmanned platform, then you're going to be operating autonomously, and so you have operations risk, you got communications risk, you got the logistics of getting things to orbit, and then of course there are things that you're going to want to return to Earth and evaluate in the laboratory to see just how much the materials improved in the microgravity environment. So we talk with people at NASA Johnson Space Flight Center, a group called Oz. We talk with CASIS, the International Space Station, National Laboratory Organization. We talk with a lot of the companies that are already pioneering, the frontier, as well as the big system prime contractors that have, I like to say that I was doing new space when it was old space. I've had things fly in space 4 times already.
Wow, really? Interesting,
Yeah.
Interesting. Good. Matter of interest, what were those 4 things?
So there's a program called Materials on International Space Station Experiment, or MISSE for short.
Yeah.
So I had things fly on MISSE 1, the first one, MISSE 6, MISSE 8, and then on NASA's METIS program on the Air Force X-37B, and particularly we were looking at space optics and how they responded to the low Earth orbit environment. That's the lower Van Allen belt, and where a lot of protons are captured. You also have atomic oxygen and UV radiation.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of expertise on the space effects environment, or the SEA as it's known.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, let's take the next question from Massimo Massini. Thanks, Massimo. Thanks for joining us. 3D printing technologies are up to the challenges you are trying to develop, or you think they are the limiting factor to nanotechnologies?
We're paving the ground here. We're the literal pioneers. We're like the Lewis and Clark, or the Jobs and Cook, and it's everything we're doing is new and experimental.
Right. So you're doing 3D AM, but you're not necessarily always doing 3D AM. You're just using the one that might be the long term and maybe even the short term game. So you sound pretty flexible in how you produce it.
Indeed.
Okay, good. Next question from AIAA Los Angeles, Las Vegas. I missed the first 15 minutes. Having too much fun in Las Vegas. Will there be a recording? Also, is there any information about the Talk Nano-composite? Number one, there will be a recording. We will make a note to send it out to you. I'll just make a note of that right now and get that over to you, hopefully during the course of today. So thank you for that. Do you want to take the second piece of that? is there any information about the torque or nano composite? Bill.
So the question we're addressing is, one, is there
just the last bit, is there any further information that you've got available that you can share with AIAA?
Well, we do have some papers that have been published in the SPIE that discuss some of the work for NASA. A lot of the other stuff has been in stealth mode. I see they've asked another question about space station work. So there's a call out by CASIS, but I think we'll be a little better timed if we look at a future call to do that experiment in space. A lot of getting things to market is timing, and I think we're a little bit early for, nobody wants to invest in building the large optics in space just right now when there is a well-established and very competitive manufacturing community here on planet.
Got it. Okay. I think we've covered AIAA. Thank you for those. Last question, it looks like, from Javier. How do you measure the time to market for your new developments? Or what are those likely to be, I guess?
It's for me, it's more of a feeling that I get for it. Because I'll tell you, in the past, I've developed some things that were, a decade ahead of their time. And if the marketplace is not ready to receive them, they're not going to be received. But if the marketplace is ready for it and the right people get behind it and they see big money behind it, then it's time.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that nothing happened in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. It's been going for many years. It's just that we as the consumer just get to see it over a 5-second period and thinking it was an overnight sensation. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. You have to be patient. It'll come through eventually as well. Good. I think we are there. Dr. Bill Goodman, it has been an absolute pleasure, an honor to have you on the show. Thanks so much. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. We are definitely going to be sending this recording out to everyone and breaking it up into bite-sized chunks. Bill, thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. God bless in all your ventures. It was a delight to be on your show today.
Pleasure. Thanks again, Bill. Okay, everyone, next week it's staying small and we're going micro mobility. Yes, we are going back into automotive and autonomous connected electric subscription vehicles. Over this last 15 months, we might have been previously taking public transportation, but suddenly now with masks and keeping social distancing, micro-mobility has massively come to the forefront and continues to grow. So next week, John Lee, Vice President of Product for Indigo Technologies. Have a great week and see you next Monday. Thank you.